What's going on, guys? I'm Powdah P, and you're back with Around the CHL. This is where we're going to take a look at everything CHL, from trades to star players to matchups to upsets to everything you want. This episode, the deadline. We obviously have the trade deadline today, and it's been kind of hectic trying to watch the boards as things go through. Not sure when things are going to get approved, but we're going to do our best to cover some trades. With me, as usual, is Jrod. What's up, Jay?
What's up?
How's the AHL treating you?
I don't know. I guess our team's finally starting to get back together.
No, it's like a bad relationship. You're breaking up and now coming back together. And
It's about how it looks right now.
all right, so who's the GM up there now in Texas?
Still do not have one.
That's ridiculous. So before we get into any actual around the CHL topics, let's cover a few things. First of all, if you didn't catch it Friday night, we have a new show here on the LG Media. It's called the Sit Down Series. The Sit Down. J-Rod, did you catch the Sit Down Series?
Which one?
The Sit Down Series with B. McDonald.
No, I didn't get a chance to check it out yet.
Well, it's a new series brought to you by the media team, inspired by F5 Penguin, where instead of just a normal interview or stats show, we're going to sit down with some of the more prolific members of the league and discuss some of the topics that maybe are interest to some, maybe not to others, but more aligns the hotter topics in the league and things that are really going to pique interest and give people a better insight as to what's going on in their head, as opposed to just assuming everything they do is posted in the threads. So if you haven't listened to that yet, go take a look. It's in the LGHL. I will post a link to it in the CHL forums. But really good listen, and expect a lot more of those where people can get further insight to some of the bigger names in the league, around the league, for the league. Another thing, I was contacted by B. McDonald himself, the commissioner here at LG, for you that don't know. And he basically, his goal next season is to have all 60 CHL teams active, up and running, and full. We have the players. We have the people. The thing we don't have is general managers. It's not the easiest task in the world, but at the same time, it's very easy to do if you use all the tools at your disposal. So if you've sat there and complained about being not played, or you don't like the teammates you're with, or you think you could build a better team, or you just feel that you would be a better GM than the one you have, what you can do is, when you see the signups for next season, you're also going to see the applications for general managers. GM applications are the first step you need to do to get your own team. Once you have your own team, you'll be responsible for setting lines, making trades, claiming people off waivers, checking schedules, dealing with other GMs, and all that cool stuff that you wish you could do as a player, but you can't because you're not. But we have the players. Now all we need is GMs. So if you think you are up for another challenge, or you want to take your gaming ability or your sim hockey life to the next level, management is where you want to be. The more quality managers we have, the better off this league is. For those of you in the training camps at the bottom, buried down there, complaining in the team chat, this is for you guys. If you think you have the ability and you have what it takes to be a GM, please check it out. So, and before, once again, another little off the subject, but it's still CHL related, so it's all good. If you didn't catch the last episode of CHL Mail Time, which you can always go back and watch it on YouTube, in the forums, and like 4 or 5 other places we've posted it. But in this last episode of CHL Mail Time, we had the GM from Kamloops, Bo Casmo, also a member of the All-Star Game Committee for the CHL. We announced the teams on the leading vote getters and things like that, and we had set the times and dates for the games for Friday and Saturday. The problem with that was, I think like 60% of all the All-Stars couldn't make it over the weekend, so we've moved the game. And if you are an All-Star and you are listening, which I hope you are, tonight, 10:30, there's going to be 2 games. The third and the second line will be playing, and then at 11:30, the first line will be playing. And then on Monday, at 10:30 and 11:30, the lines of the captain's choice will be playing. So, what does that mean? Means if you're an all-star and you said you couldn't make it Friday, Saturday night, that means you still have time to get into this game. You need to contact your captain. Yeah, there's a thread in the forums you can read. You can respond to all that cool stuff. Bocasmo, Blue Steel 21, those are your all-star committee members. And then you have the two captains, Zari and King Neymar. Those are the two that have won the votes for the CHL, and they're the ones that are going to be the captains for these teams and setting the lines as he deems necessary for games 4 and 5 if the series goes that long. So, with that being said, let's get into the trade deadline. I did my best to find the most up-to-date trade that I think is going to have the biggest impact of the week. Not the week, but the rest of the season, as these are the last trades that will be made. So, Jrod, first of all, let's hear your trade.
My trade involved Prince George Cougars and Drakkar. Prince George got L3 up a quick L2L. It's always fun when they do those numbers and whatnot.
L's and I's.
He's a right wing. He's going to be on the TC, I would assume. He's only 1-1 on the season. He doesn't bring much to the table. But Drakkar did get Bobo Charizard, who's a left defenseman. Right now he's sitting on their training camp, but I got to assume he's going to be called up. He's 6-5 on the season. He's got a goal, 8 assists. He's got a +6. Right now I believe Drakkar's 4 points back from making the playoffs. I think they can make a playoff push this season, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him being put on the active roster soon.
No, I definitely agree. And with that being said, there's not that many teams that are mathematically out. In the WHL East, the Raiders, they got 34 points, but that's only 11 points out of a playoff spot. That's an easy week of wins not easy week, but that's some wins you could get, knock them out, get into a playoff spot. In the WHL West, we got the Rockets, who are in last place, and they're only 6 points out of the playoffs. In the Q, we got the Quebec Remparts and the Showertown Islanders. The Islanders are actually tied for the last playoff spot, but they're sitting on the outside due to tiebreakers, and the Remparts are only 8 points back. So theoretically, there is no team mathematically out yet. So every move that's being made is hopefully for the right cause and for hopefully a deep playoff run if that's what those GM's aspirations are. For me, my trade this week it's between Calgary and the Portland Winterhawks. Basically, Calgary's GM, Chris, traded for War Hero Max. If you guys don't know the name, he's 8-6-1 on the season, 38 points, 23 of them are goals, but he's got a -11. And I'm sorry, he's going to the Winterhawks, the last place in their division, but they're still in the 7th seed in the playoffs. What does this mean for them? This means we got a guy that's ready to come in, ready to play with some new players, new faces, new chemistry, and this could be the biggest move, I think, in the WHL, as a lot of the top teams are not making any drastic changes. They're kind of just gliding into the playoffs. If you haven't noticed, there are teams that have been unstoppable all season, and all of a sudden they're starting to lose games due to call-ups, due to bad chemistry, things like that. Anything can happen. So hopefully War Hero makes it a big deal, and the trade was for Show Out 15 and Just Too Slick. And they went to the Hitmen while War Hero Max goes to the Winterhawks. The other two, I think they're just going to be TC bums that just kind of hang out there and do their thing. With that being said, the other thing that could really affect these playoff races is call-ups. The call-ups can happen almost at any time. I don't know if they've set a deadline for actual call-ups, but there have been some call-ups, I think, that are going to affect other teams and that aren't even around, involved with it. So if a guy from, let's say, Portland gets called up, is that going to affect the rest of the division? Most likely, because the matchups all change and the lines all change throughout that organization. So, Jrod, your call-up of the week, which call-up do you think is going to affect the league the most?
my call of the week, and I've been on the Moose Jaw bandwagon train for a while now. Their latest call-up is the Jrod duo. He's 10-1 on the season, 42 points, 19 goals, 23 assists, with a plus 24. They lost a couple other players, Fruit Smoothie, and one other guy. I want to see if they're going to be able to keep up with the momentum they've built, or if they're going to start falling off, losing all these players.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jrod were a management pairing last season, and we will tell you right now, we got lucky and didn't have a lot of call-ups, so we were able to run with lines that have been together for a few weeks into the playoffs and able to make a kind of a statement, if you will. We came in as a 7 seed, got through the first round, and then we got matched up against Kamloops, and we lost. But it happens. It happens. But us not getting call-ups affected us in such a way that we didn't have to worry about any of our lines really changing that bad, so we lucked out. For me, my call-up of the week is going back to my team, Eddie Reflex. Ed Reflex has left the Spokane Chiefs and not only has he left the Spokane Chiefs, but he's also switched positions. He played center for Spokane all season long, went 7-6-2, 34 points, and 24 of them are assists. Huge playmaker in Spokane. The thing is now he's going to play right defense for the Portland Pirates, and they're in the 4th place, chasing down the Providence Bruins for the number 1 spot in the AHL, and it should be interesting. The big question is how bad will that affect Spokane with the GM and AGM of Tigers and Nutty Grandpa, for those of you who don't know, and will they be able to replace him, and will he make a difference on defense up in Portland? This could be a temporary call-up, but I foresee that it's long-term, and we will not be seeing Ed back down in the CHL this year. So congratulations, Ed, to making it up, but we're going to miss you in Spokane. All right, so now that we've talked about call-ups, we've talked about trades. Now I got to do a couple things, a little housekeeping. Media. Media is what makes this that much better than everybody else. This media department is light years ahead of others from other leagues and things like that, and it's constantly growing. So we already talked about the sit-down series, so you guys know about that. Those sit-down series are going to pop up randomly. Whenever it's felt necessary to do one, they will happen. As far as other shows, of course, we have CHL Mail Time Thursday nights, 9:30. It's it's a place for all the CHLers to call in, tweet, leave a voicemail, all that good stuff, to get some answers to all those burning questions that you guys want to have answers to and have read live. If you want to call in and ask about who's the best player on the Quebec Remparts, even though they're having a terrible season, I'll be glad to give you my 2 cents on what's going on in Quebec, and I've done that before, and, a lot of good feedback there. So, CHL Mail Time, Thursday nights at 9:30. And then, of course, we have the league-wide show, which is the LG Snapshot. That's Tuesday nights, 10 p.m., with F5 Penguin, 709, Eric E30, and, of course, me, Powdah P. And a lot of times we do special guest appearances from various members around the league. A lot of NHL owners, NHL GMs, AHL members, and stuff like that coming on the show. And, it's a really good listen, and it gives you a lot more insight to what goes on outside of the CHL. So, don't forget to watch those shows. If you can't find them, you can go to the LeagueGaming.com YouTube channel. Subscribe, rate, comment, do all those cool things. Of course, we're always on Twitter. All the media guys have Twitter accounts. We're always on there chirping away, answering questions and things like that. And then, of course, the media tab on the main page of LeagueGaming.com. You can get all the upcoming media, all past media, and even things like that. And then off to the right, you're going to see a thing called CMS Articles. That's where all media publications, whether it's written, video, audio, I can't think of anything else, but you'll find it all there. It's in chronological order, and you can catch all the media from all the leagues in that one little section. So, back to the CHL. This question was asked to me a couple weeks ago on Mail Time, and it was, what do you think was the best upset of the week, or the biggest upset of the week? And I thought, wow, what an awesome segment, because now we do matchups of the week for the week coming up. But let's talk about the week that just happened. And now that's what we're going to talk about, the upsets. what upset of the week, Jrod, do you think was the biggest and the most impressive?
Well, you see, I picked Prince Albert Raiders beating Kamloops 5-4. They're 14, 25, and 6 on the season, so you didn't really see that one coming. I know Kamloops facing a lot of call-ups right now, and they probably had their third line with a bunch of TC players on it. But for a team that's supposed to be full of depth and supposed to be the powerhouse that they actually are, it was kind of shocking to see that they lost.
Oh no, I mean without a doubt. Anytime Kamloops loses, it's like there's like alarms going off, like bells and whistles. The site kind of implodes. Everything just goes crazy when Kamloops loses. And we're not saying that Kamloops isn't going to make the playoffs. We're not saying Kamloops isn't going to make a deep playoff. What we're saying is Kamloops can be beat. Kamloops is beatable. Don't underestimate them or overestimate them and say, oh, it's Kamloops, we can't win. That's not true. If the Raiders can beat Kamloops, anybody can. All right. My upset comes from the Q. Last week, the Val d'Or Foreurs played against the Charlottetown Islanders. If you're not familiar with the two teams, the Foreurs are first place in the QMJ West, second place in the Q overall, while the Charlottetown Islanders are in the basement. They are 14, 27, and 1. So similar situation to the Prince Albert Raiders when they lost, but this time it got a little bit crazier. We had a 6-3 win, but the game was a lot closer than the score shows. I can't tell you when those goals were actually scored because I don't have those photos right up here right now, but the time on attack was outweighed by the Foreurs. Shots on goal, the Islanders took that one. But penalty minutes were huge in this game. You could see a lot of bad blood. Stars of the game, though, were... And, of course, everything doesn't want to load right now. All right, so, yep, what a big game. Huge game. Can't knock anybody. All right, moving on. Matchups of the week. We got matchups from the upcoming week that we think are going to be the most exciting. So what do you got for me, Jrod?
Game of the week?
Yes, sir.
I got Moose Jaw versus Kamloops.
You and Moose Jaw, man. What's up with you and Moose Jaw?
Oh, dude, I think they're going to be the ones that dethrone the Blazers. This could be the WHL Finals preview right here.
Definitely. I like it. I like it. Do we have lineups for that game yet, or is it later in the week?
I don't think they were completely all finalized yet. It's a test. It'll show if Moose Jaw is going to be able to stay with their momentum after losing a few of their guys to call-ups, or if they're going to fall back a little bit. So we'll find out.
And for me, I went with the Q. Always back in the Q for me. I got the Chicoutimi Saguenayens versus the Victoriaville Tigers. The Saguenayens are 24-13-5, heading into Victoriaville, who is 27-14-4. Huge matchup. It's going to say a lot about where each team stands, as this is an 8:30 Sunday night game, so that happens in about 40 minutes. And that means either A, top lines are coming, or B, top lines weren't available. But right now, the big matchups I'm seeing on paper is they got Lantien. I always screw his name up, but it's Lantien from Victoriaville, all-star member this year, and then the defensive pairing of Call of Noodle and Heatley 15. So you got a strong forward line out of Victoriaville, and Chicoutimi's got absolute... Let's see. Now I got people just calling me and doing crazy stuff. People calling me via Google Hangouts right now. Don't call me during a show. I got things to do. It's probably Sev, if the area code I think is correct. But yeah, so the Saguenayens versus Victoriaville. No prediction. It's just going to be an exciting matchup, and hopefully, I always root for the underdog. So I guess I'll say the Saguenayens to win that one. All right, so moving on. We got everybody's favorite part. Stars, who's hot, who's not. And for me, this week, my star of the week is Mavis Incarnate, Kootenay Ice right defenseman. He's the GM over in Kootenay, and they've had a rough season so far. And fun fact about Mavis Incarnate, this little graphic that you guys are seeing where it says around the CHL, all designed by him. Awesome job. Everything I use graphic-wise comes from him, and he does an excellent job. But this past week, he went 2-1. You're probably like, oh, 2-1, that's not that good. Well, as a GM, he stepped up and played right wing, and he's a defenseman, and he stepped up when he didn't have a guy available to play against the Red Deer Rebels. But in his 2 games at defense, he had 6 points with 5 assists and a +4. And even when he played forward, he had 2 more goals. So you can't knock a guy that's going to step up and play out of position for his team when it's necessary. Jrod, who's your star of the week?
Star of the week is B. Danksy, right wing, and this will be the first time I acknowledged Kamloops all season and something positive. So he played right wing for the Kamloops Blazers. Let's see, he went 3-0 last week. He had 5 goals, 8 assists, +4 with a 41.7% shooting percentage. And I believe right now he's leading the league in points.
Yeah, the name I've seen the name all around Kamloops. We know. The question is when is he going to get called up if he hasn't been already?
He hasn't been yet, so I'm thinking they might just get lucky and he'll stay where he's at.
All right. We've talked about who's hot. Now we want to know who's not. Jrod, I'm going to let you go first on this one because I'm excited to talk about mine just because these numbers that I'm looking at are just atrocious. So who do you got for who's not this week?
I got Red Rock 13, right wing for Prince Albert Raiders. He went 0-3 last week. He had 1 goal, 1 assist with a -9. He's 2-9-2 on the season with a -22. That's just not going to get it done, man.
Well, you gave me a right wing, but it's from the W. I'm going to one-up you and give you a right wing from the Q. And not only did he went more than -9. He went -12 this week. 0-3, -12 with 3 assists. Who is this player, you ask? Gibbs Racing 2105, the Moncton Wildcats right wing. A guy that needs to step up if the Moncton Wildcats are going to make a serious play. This league's no joke, and losing games like that and not being productive on the forwards positions is a huge, huge negative for your team. So, Gibbs Racing, step it up, man. All right. So you guys have been listening to CHL Mail Time. That's about all we have for this week. Jrod, do you have any final thoughts for the masses listening at home?
Oh, no. Finally, this week is the end of the trade, so I think that this week everybody's going to start gelling. They're going to get their lines together and hopefully avoiding any call-ups, and we should see who's the best of the best now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a huge. Everybody scrambles right out the gate to try to get out in front and do all that. But in all reality, so many teams make the playoffs here in the CHL that you just have to stay afloat for the first few weeks. And once the trade deadline hits and those rosters start to lock into place, that's when the chemistry really starts to take over. For those of you who haven't played here at LG, you're going to see when the playoffs come that your line is your lifeblood. Your line will have rivalries with other lines on your team when they don't produce. You're gonna be getting mad at them. You're gonna be cheering them on. You're gonna be doing all kinds of crazy old school score checking if the stream's not up, and you're really gonna see which lines can produce and which lines need to step it up. So it should be exciting to see which teams continue to be good, which teams drop from greatness, which teams rise from the basement, and which teams just stay where they're at and kind of just keep chugging along. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit us up in the forums. Hit us up on Twitter. I've posted both the tweets here in the forums, or Twitter handles, whatever you want to call them. I'm not the tweeter guy or Twitter or whatever. Yeah, And yeah, that's it. I hope everybody has a good week in CHL play, and if you get any AHL time, that's your time to shine. Don't forget, keep your ears to the ground for the GM signups for Season 5 of the CHL. The more GMs we have, the more people that get to play actively. The more people we get to play actively, the more things we can do as a community, whether it be individual all-stars between the Q, between the W, and the OHL, which isn't even a part of the season this year, or even if it just means somebody else gets to play an actual game this week because they're not on a TC. So keep that in mind as we go forward, and good luck to everybody. I hope you guys have a good night and a good week at hockey. Peace.